All right, so welcome to Sibling Rx. This is, I don't know what episode we're on, but anyways, I'm Dr. Yas.
Dr. Radi.
And today we're going to be talking about weightlifting in midlife. So I think that this is a great topic because one, we're in midlife, so it's something that we can definitely relate to. And two, muscle is the organ of longevity, right? It is the new fountain of youth.
Yeah, last time we talked about movement.
Yep.
And I looked up some things on movement, just curious, like how do we compare to other countries? It's obviously always a dismal statistic when you compare like health and wellness or whatever in the United States compared to other countries. What country is the fittest country in the world? What would be your guess? I didn't know this. I'll give you a hint. It's not the United States.
Well, I knew that, yeah. And we have the most gyms.
Yeah.
I would probably say Japan.
Nope. Finland.
Oh, that makes sense. They have the saunas.
Finland is the healthiest, most active, not healthiest, the most active aerobic and anaerobic country in the world. 90% of their people hit like the Finnish like standards of, like here we have the CDC standards of how active we should be. 90% of people do that. And then in the United States, only 24% of people hit the CDC standards, which
is not even
a real standard.
But
if we're just going off of like some benchmarks, 24%
that's amazing.
Of people.
Yeah, I know Finland, they started the whole sauna culture, right? So sauna is huge with them. And they swear homes come with saunas.
Yeah, that's
cool. So,
who do you think is the most inactive country?
I mean, I'd say the United States, but we're probably in the middle.
Brazil. Isn't that weird?
With soccer and everything?
Yeah, like
That's
Brazil,
so
like they're outside the ocean, the beach, but again, based on their standards of like aerobic and anaerobic, like, suggestions or whatever, they're the bottom of the list of all these countries that was evaluated, which was kind of crazy. And of course, in Finland, obesity, only 10% of people are obese. In the United States, it's 40% clinically obese.
Wow,
so again, not to go back and rehash what we talked about last time, but we got a lot of comments on and messages on the movement, and we just want to thank everybody that's been listening and subscribing. It's been pretty cool, so we're grateful for that. But just need to kind of see what other countries are,
it's interesting
where they sit and where they stand. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it probably has a lot to do with their nutritional intake as well. But let's talk about strength training. Let's talk about muscle. So as a female, there's always those myths about muscle and strength training. Like, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get bulky or, it's just, I don't have time for it or anything like that. If I only have a little bit of time, I'm just going to go do my cardio because I think that's the only way I'm going to lose weight or stay trim. But actually cardio burns your muscle off, right? So that's counterproductive. But let's talk about what muscle does. So muscle is like a glycogen sweep for your body. Every time you eat something, your muscle just absorbs it. And it doesn't it allows your blood sugar to stay stable. It doesn't raise your insulin. So you are able to stabilize your metabolic efficiency, right? Yeah. So that's one thing it does. It also helps with just regulating your hormones. It's actually an endocrine organ. So muscle actually helps regulate your estrogen as females, your testosterone as males. So it really helps just regulate everything. And as your estrogen declines in midlife for a female, you start to lose 3 to 8% of your muscle mass per decade.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. And speaking of muscle mass loss, like right now, obviously, millions and millions of people are on the, GLPs.
Yeah.
And one thing that is, people hear about is if you're not strength training while you're on these peptides, specifically, you're just going to continue to get that muscle wasting, And you said something about midlife, or what'd you call it? Midlife, right.
Yeah.
So it's really a common statement when, especially for women, like you said, they don't want to lift weights. They don't want to take creatine. They don't want to bulk up. And I think now more and more people are going, wait a minute. Guys have been taking creatine since they were in high school. Now women are kind of catching on to it, and they're like all on this creatine craze, which obviously helps muscle development and all that stuff. But what are some other things? Obviously, being in the world of musculoskeletal issues, bone density is a huge concern that men and women should have. Definitely more with women, where your bone density starts to decline as you get older. Let's talk a little bit about how strength training can prevent bone density loss, overall.
Yeah. So when you strength train and you build muscle, it actually puts more demand on your bone. So there's two different types of bone products, I guess. There's osteoblasts, which build bone, and then osteoclasts. And what they do is they basically, it's a pattern or a tug of war of absorption and building. And so when you're aging, your absorption of the bone increases. So the osteoclast absorption increases and the osteoblast decreases. But as you build muscle, it's increasing the osteoblast, osteobuilding part of the bone to help increase the bone density. So it helps prevent, even if you're 90, if you start lifting weights, you can actually reverse any osteoporosis or osteopenia. It's a matter of just constantly building that muscle that will help build that bone.
Yeah, so it's never too late to really initiate a regimen of strength training, and then barring injury or whatever people have. And obviously, if you're already osteoporotic or osteopenic, where your bone density is already declining, you got to start smart. Make sure you're getting some coaching or personal training. But definitely, there's no reason to ever throw in the towel and say, I'm not going to strength train anymore. There's no study that says strength training is bad for you. Just focus on cardio. Cardio is not bad. Your aerobic exercise is good for cardiovascular, but it's not going to do anything for these other things that we're talking about. That's why a workout that combines the two is really good, right? So you're kind of hitting both things,
But you really want to separate them though. You don't want to combine them within the same movement. Like all the HIIT exercises, those are good if you're at a certain age, like 45 and older. HIIT is good once a week. Then you need to separate your cardiovascular walking, your zone 2 cardio as one workout and your strength training as another, because if you do them together, they're counterproductive. So if you're doing cardio and strength training at the same time, you're actually burning your muscle off. Because you're training for endurance, you're not training for strength.
Well, it depends on the type of lifting you're doing, though, too.
Well, no, it depends on the sorry to disagree, but I disagree. It depends on how much you're lifting. So if you're lifting heavy enough where you're fatiguing 6 to 8 rep max with maybe 2 more in reserve, but really training to fatigue, to failure, that's when you're building muscle. But if you're like these women, they're doing like 10-pound weights and they're doing 15 reps, that's not building muscle.
Yeah, they're getting more cardio.
That's more cardio. Yeah. And then they're doing like, a burpee in between. That's endurance and cardio and HIIT training, which is great for minimal once a week if you're at 45 and older as a female. But if you're younger as a female or even older and postmenopausal, you really have to
build in the strength.
You have to build
in addition to it. What about, like, I know personally, let's talk about strength, like just move again. It kind of overlaps movement again. Like personally, if I miss a workout in the morning, if I don't get my normal stuff done, I know I'll still get through my day, but it definitely affects my mood, my energy. If no matter what the workout is, whatever it is for the day, because it changes. What I do changes every day. But I know that when I am on my schedule and I do what I need to be doing, the endorphins are released. You have just more energy throughout the day. You have a better metabolism, obviously. So how does that? When you miss a workout, how do you feel?
Well, nowadays, if I have to miss a workout, I make sure that I at least do my stretching routine because
you're old.
I'm old.
Yeah, old people stretch. Yeah,
everything hurts.
She's doing Tai Chi.
Right, I am, and I'm actually I do this lymphatic routine that like helps drain the lymph nodes and just get everything moving. And we can talk about jumping in another episode. But when I don't work out, I feel kind of my anxiety goes a little bit higher in the day. It definitely is a mood enhancing, like you said, the endorphins, everything.
Feel better.
You feel better.
Yeah.
But again, I try to do something because I'm just really stiff in the morning. So I have to do something in the morning to get moving.
And I know some people just don't like to work out or strength train in the morning. They feel stronger in the
Later
afternoon.
in the day, yeah.
Who cares? Like, just get it done. It doesn't matter.
And
or break up your workouts, right? I know some people will go do their cardio in the morning and then maybe they'll go lift or do something else in the afternoon or something like that. Just as long as you're getting it in. And if you're not a morning person, some people do feel stronger in the afternoon. I try to go to the gym in the afternoon sometimes and I'm like,
it's tough.
I don't even want to be here. Like, it's just hard. You're tired. You kind of feel just run down from the day, but it's better than nothing. Better than not doing anything. It is. You know.
And it's always going back to the cardio and the strength training component. If you're going to strength train to build muscle, it's always better to do your cardiovascular zone 2 after your workout. Mm-hmm. You always want to save your glycogen stores and save your
for lifting.
For lifting. So if you lift first, do your zone 2 cardio afterwards. Yeah. If you're not going to do any lifting that day,
then just go do.
You can do your HIIT cardio that day.
Yeah.
Or you can, so I always tell people, do your lifting first, and then you can push all the lactic acid and all the buildup out during that zone 2. Yeah, flush it out.
So the other thing that comes back to our world is, strengthening like paraspinals and muscles that protect you, your core, your muscles of your back and
your
spine.
Stabilizers,
Stabilizers, so important. And I think that those are things that sometimes people neglect, doing something that really enhances their core and builds their core strength. I know that obviously over the years of seeing patients, we would see people that, just injured their back. They had a herniated disc or pain going down their leg just from bending over and brushing their teeth. And they could be very much conditioned, but part of any rehabilitation or kind of being on the track of recovery involves some level of core strengthening and building your foundation around your spine in this case, So I know sometimes that gets neglected by people and they just don't want to do that. And they're more prone to just basic back injuries or lifting down and picking up, an animal or something, and it's something super light. And you're like, oh my gosh, my back just went out doing the simplest thing, So core stabilizers, I think are an area people need to focus on in their regimen of whatever they're doing.
Super important, because your core actually stabilizes your back muscles, and your back muscles are involuntary muscles that are constantly working. So those are going to fatigue faster. They're going to tear faster. You're going to strain them more often. So the stronger you have your core, the stronger your paraspinal, your stabilizer muscles will be in the back. But, again, you also have to stretch them and you have to, it's a balance. Yeah.
What about eating? I don't like to eat before I go to the gym.
Right. So some people like fasted workouts,
I don't like it. If I ate anything, it may be like a couple hard-boiled eggs or something small, like that. But I know people like to, some people just feel like, just a dozen
like
eggs.
6, 7.
Yeah. After I eat a dozen donuts. Some people like to have like a full-on protein shake before they go to the gym. For me, that doesn't sit well. Do you eat before you work out?
Sometimes I'm hungry in the mornings. Yeah. Sometimes I'm not. Regardless, I'll have my collagen in my coffee. And then, which breaks my fast really. Again, going like through hormone changes and as a midlife woman, it's actually not good to do fasted workouts as a woman. It's not recommended to do intermittent fasting as a woman going through menopause. So I try to have something little, like maybe one hard-boiled egg, or I have like maybe like literally a scoop of cottage cheese before I go. Or a donut, I love donuts.
Just a donut whole, because they're little, but you just have 50 of them. Pre-workout donut.
Right, yes.
If somebody can make a pre-workout donut, that would be amazing. That's good for you.
I mean, half the protein bars out there are garbage, so.
Yeah, I don't like to eat, but I like to eat right afterwards. Like I'm hungry, like right afterwards.
Right afterwards? It's funny too, because I'm really not hungry right afterwards. And what's interesting is when you strength train, your muscle actually activates your GLP-1, like your natural GLP-1 production. So some people, when they exercise, like me, I don't get hungry afterwards.
But it's good to take protein in right after you work out, even if you're not.
And really it's, and we'll talk about protein on the next episode, but it's everyone thinks, oh, you have to eat 50 grams of protein right after you work out. No, the actual protein amount is the accumulation through the day, not,
one setting.
Not in one sitting.
Yeah. The other thing with weightlifting and strength training is being smart about it, not doing things that are going to hurt you, not going excessively just because the person next to you is doing whatever. Yep. Because it's really, really simple to injure yourself. And we've seen it. Like deadlifts, for example, are so commonly done wrong and done with excess weight for whatever reason, whether somebody's trying to hit a certain rep or they're trying to lift a certain weight. But that's a really, really good way. If you're looking to really screw your spine for a long time, do a wrong deadlift and you're out. And even if you kind of recover from it, it's always going to be nagging, So, and the worst thing is doing some type of a strength training and then now you're kind of on the sidelines. Now you can't do that. And that's talk about not being able to work out so just being smart about your body, listening to your body. If a morning you get up and you're like, just not kind of feeling it today, maybe go listen to your body and don't push through and potentially injure yourself. Yeah.
And a lot of times when it comes to strength training, the simpler you keep it, the more efficient it is. So the exercise doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be, a fancy movement. It can just be a simple exercise and do a few of them per workout to build your foundational, especially people that are just getting started, right? Like getting the foundation set first and then learning, okay, what's my baseline? That's my baseline weight. And then how can I increase the weight by like 5% each time or after a couple weeks, So like when women always ask me, I always get approached at the gym, like, you look like you work out. Well, how do you do this? How do you do that? And so I tell them.
It's weird because you have a donut in your hand when they ask you.
I know, like donut all the time.
Yeah, constantly.
So I tell them, I said, if you're just starting to work out, the best thing to do is 3 times a week, lift weights, do a full body routine. And then I show them my simple full body routine, which is just one barbell. So I grab I tell them to start with like a 20 or 30 pound barbell.
And do a bunch of moves with it.
And and it's simple. It takes 30 minutes tops. And all you do is you press, you squat, you deadlift, you row, and that's it. Yeah. For 30 minutes, you get as many rounds as you can get as possible, do like 6 to 8 reps and that's it. Yeah. Very simple. And then once they feel like after they've done that 3 times a week, and then I tell them, just walk in between, but walk on the days that you don't work out, try to get your steps in. But if once they do that after a month and I see them again and they're like, wow, like I've been doing that workout, or they text me, I've been doing that workout, it's so great. What can I do next? And I go, do the same thing, just go heavier.
Weight,
just go heavier.
Weight,
they love it. It's simple, it's quick and simple.
I think the thing that we opened with, really common with women, is they're worried about bulking. And not a concern, especially at that age. There's just really no concern that you're going to, you're not going into a big bodybuilding competition. No. It's really important for your longevity, stability of your hormones, bone density, cognition, all those things, super important, is so much more relevant than worrying about, I don't want my deltoids to get too big, or something like that.
No, and it will never.
It's almost an excuse to not do it.
It is,
yeah. So, you know what I mean?
But it'll never get that big where, bodybuilders look like that because they're doing stuff. Yeah. They're taking things. They're doing, and, I used to do competitive figure competitions, and I started doing them I did 2. I started doing them in my early 40s. And that was when I saw there was a difference between bodybuilders and figure competitors. Bodybuilders definitely had a lot of other things going on. And figure competitors I feel like both combination are like the original biohackers, because that was the first time I heard about peptides. It was the first time I heard about like the way you have to like do certain time your carbs and different things like adding salt right before going on stage, to get your veins to pop out and all these different things. So they were the original biohackers, I think. But they have been they're the ones that used to take creatine. So everyone thought, oh, if I take creatine, I'm going to bulk up. No, but creatine is essential for cognition, Alzheimer's, dementia prevention as you're older, and all of that because it feeds your muscle. So muscle is like we talked about, it's an endocrine organ. Bone is an endocrine organ. They help balance out your hormones. But the more we build muscle as men and women at our ages now, the less likelihood we have to become
those conditions.
Have dementia, get diabetes, get, and they're calling Alzheimer's diabetes type 3.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's always inspiring when you see older people at the gym, And we have some older members in their 70s, late 70s, and it's, even though they're not maybe doing the exact workout for the day, but they're there and they're doing something because, and I'll tell a couple of them, I'm like, man, most people your age, they're not in the gym. They're, maybe on the golf course or doing nothing right now. Yeah. So it's never too late to just start something.
But I think the biggest thing as you become elderly, if you continue to build the muscle and you continue to focus on progressive overload and constantly building, yes, you improve your bone density, but if you were to fall, you can get back up. You can get up. You're not going to be bound to having someone, living with you to help you get off the toilet seat, or, you'll be fully autonomous.
Such a huge concern with people at that age, especially if they live on their own, is falls. Falls, are unfortunately the death of a lot of people, right? They can break a hip, they can hit their head, so and building that foundation, like you said, like of strength and stability will certainly help them in so many ways, so.
Yeah, and when you break a hip past the age of 65, the rates of
mortality rate is
post 1 year is very high.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
So strength training, any other things we want to hit on that? I think we've made our point. If you're not working out, if you're not lifting weights, definitely start. There's great ways to get involved, and you can use AI to put a workout together for yourself, or go to a gym and get a trainer, or do whatever you need to do. Not doing it's the only thing that's not an option. Get out there, do it. It's never too late and it's never too soon.
Yeah.
Oh, what about that? What about, because, sometimes there's a concern about a teenager starting too soon. Like, I don't want my kid to lift when they're 12 years old, 13 years old. So
what I mean? People think, when we were growing up, they used to say, oh, don't lift weights. You're going to get short. You're going to stay short. Actually,
it's going to stunt your growth or something. Yeah,
it's going to stunt your growth. But actually, it's the opposite. It actually builds more bone and it helps with your growth plates. Yeah. So it actually, and what's interesting is when you look at basketball players, they're constantly jumping and they're constantly putting that pressure on their bones. Yeah. And that, even if their parents are, let's say, not that tall, then they're basketball players like 6'5", right? Well, it's because they're constantly jumping. The more you stress your bone with muscle or with jumping and impact, the more it's going to grow.
Yeah. No, I think it's great for kids to start safely, build that regimen. Yeah,
they can always start body weight, and then progress to small weights. And then, there's actually, what's interesting is at our gym, there is an 8th grade girl that is in there every morning at 6 a.m. by herself, working out. Like, she has a whole video thing.
That's awesome.
And she is doing stuff. She does pull-ups.
Yeah.
Full pull-ups with non-assisted pull-ups.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, it's unbelievable.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that's a wrap on that, right? Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, they need some workout advice or anything, just comment workout in our feed, and we'll send you some guidance.
So don't forget to subscribe, like us, share this with your friends, family, questions, comments. We'd love to hear comments. That's been really good. Sometimes they're in messages, and sometimes we just get text messages from people we know. Until the next episode.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you. The information provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. While we may be licensed healthcare professionals, this content should not be used to diagnose or treat any medical condition or to replace the advice of your personal healthcare provider.
Always consult your doctor or a qualified health professional with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Listening to this podcast does not create a doctor-patient relationship. Reliance on any information provided is solely at your own risk.